These Negroes aren't asking for no nation. They're trying to crawl back on the plantation. A revolution is bloody. Revolution is hostile. Revolution knows no compromise. Revolution overturns and destroys everything that gets in its way. And you sitting around here like a knot on the wall saying I'm going to love these folks no matter how much they hate me. No, you need a revolution.
Well, I be out walk on this money. Woo! 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 Get some anointing. You put some up here. Woo! Man. Woo! Put some money, put some anointing on this money.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman. Now listen, y'all praise God with him.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Bismillah, wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah, or bad, in the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hatettes, welcome back to the features. Please press number 1 if you can hear me. We're having some technical difficulties, or I think we're all cleared up now. So if you can hear me, just please press number 1 in the chat. Let me see those number 1s if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, I'm going to wait for some number 1s first. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. Okay, we got sound now. Okay. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit me up on Patreon. Please share this. You know, I do apologize for all the difficulties that we have. You know, when I finish work, that's when I do my lives, right? So I kind of like have a small window so I can reach y'all, right? Because I got like a tiny window where I gotta go get myself together, get ready, you know, and prepare my stuff. You know, I usually prepare in the morning, right? And by the time I finish work, you know, I gotta go get my stuff together and then come on live, right? So sometimes we have these issues, right? You know, it's some things, these type of things happen, right? It's important for the brothers and sisters, right, to help me out with the marketing, right? Y'all are the marketing team. Y'all are the marketing team, right? So I want to say Salaam Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Marwan. Let me just throw this comment. Jazakallah khair, hayakallah. Welcome. and your comments are always welcome, whether they are for or against. We don't mind here, right? And we just want to start the conversation. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Aisada Muhammad, hayakumullah. And we welcome you all. We welcome the friends. We welcome the enemies. Okay, anybody's welcome to join us, and basically involve themselves in the conversations that we're having here. It's been a long time coming for the Black grassroots, and we are very honored and humbled that we are a part of this movement to bring Black issues in the forefront, particularly for the Black Muslim community, and when it comes to the Black Muslim community, and for the wider community as well. Black people, Muslims, non-Muslims, non-Black people. You know what I mean? These conversations are incredibly important. And today's topic is something that I came across with the brother Dennis Spurling. And those of you who know Dennis Spurling, you know that he's a lawyer, right? And this particular person, when he's a friend of, he said he passed, and so if you guys remember Kevin Samuels was, his whole idea, his whole thought process was to try to salvage what was left of the Black family, trying to, basically save what was left of the Black family, and a no holds barred approach in terms of holding Black women accountable for, you can say, almost 4 decades now of Black feminism and how it's destroyed the Black family. So he was really focused on that. Dennis Spurling is a little bit different. He's more of the save yourself Black man kind of approach, right? He's more of the, get your passport and go overseas and get yourself a wife approach. He's been married to a Black woman, and when I heard this particular, it's a small segment of an interview, that he's doing with what's her name? What's that sister's name? Shay Shard. Okay, he's doing this interview, so I want to get right into it, inshallah, and we're gonna get some comments. I'd like to see some of your feedback as well. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Let's get into it. Let me just share this with you. There we go. Okay, so let's watch this now. Just give me a minute. And I like to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the link for you to join right now, because maybe you guys might have some thoughts on this, about this as well, right? And this is, of course, it's directly related to the topics that we cover here, and it's very, very important, right? And we want the sisters, particularly the sisters, to understand some of these concepts. Okay, so like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon.
What's going to happen? And a lot of these ladies think, oh, passport bros, this is just a small percentage. Okay, so same passport bros, you're right. And then they're going to come back. They're going to come back from women from other places. culture. I know their wife and those children are going to come back. They're going to come back to women in other places. So live in the mountains. They're going to live right next door to their children. And those children are going to be raised in the culture that predominates that one.
Okay, the sound is bad. Okay, let me try to fix it. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, let me try to fix it. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Actually, let me put it in a different window. 1 second, guys. I apologize again. Technical difficulties. I apologize. Let me try to fix this here. Okay. Let's try to do this again. Okay, let me know how the sound is now, okay?
See, what's going to happen? These ladies think, oh, pastor, you're right. Many of them are going to come back, but they're going to come back with women.
Yes.
And they're not going to live in the mountains. They're going to live right to you. So their children and that woman's culture.
Are you guys hearing this? Are you guys catching the sound? It's lagging. Oh, man, how are we gonna do this? Let me try it one more time, okay? Give me a moment, okay? Try this. Go back. I apologize, guys. Juan is excited. He got a technical difficulty live. All right. Give me a moment, okay? Let me try to fix this for you.
So what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
And a lot of these ladies think, oh,
passport bros is
this is just a small
percentage.
Okay,
so
those same passport bros, you're right. Many of them are going to come back. They're going to come back with women from other places and other cultures.
Yes.
And they're not going to run off and live in the mountains. They're going to live right next door to you. So their children and their wife and those children are going to be raised in the culture that predominates that woman's culture. They're not going to go to your black church. They're not going to go to your hair salon. You're not rap with them. Their sons are probably not going to date you. Or your daughters. Because their mothers are going to say that's not what we want. Matter of fact, some brothers on my page agree with me. Then in about 10 or 15 years, with all these other races, white women also, they're going to start telling their sons, hey, don't date those Black American women. Don't bring them in our house because that culture is toxic. It's the same thing your father was running away from. And it's the same thing he ran me for. So why would you bring that into our house? That's going to be painful because they're going to be living next door to you. And you're going to be ostracized in your own country. These men are not. Some brothers are going to see, but you're going to have a small percentage of Black men travel overseas. But the vast majority of these men are going to pick up women who are Asian descent, Latina descent, and white women. And they're going to.
Now, this is something we're going to cover in detail, inshallah, tomorrow, right, for the Muslim community. Because before you even heard about passport, bros, Black Muslim men have been practicing this for donkey years, right? And there's specific reasons why Black men are going this route, right? And he's touching on the points right here, right? So let's keep listening. Anybody can join. If the sister, I saw Sister Tika, she says she has some comments, so you can hop in, right? Inshallah, I think this is an important conversation that we need to have. So we want brothers and sisters to hop on this, inshallah. All right. So let's keep going.
And the culture that they bring.
That's going to be even more painful than somewhere you never have to see them.
Ooh, and that brings me to really, one of the main purposes of this discussion. So you're saying that, as these different cultures been from Latin America, Caribbean, Africa, Europe, Asia, essentially these different cultures, it's gonna help drive that wedge even further, because the reputation is gonna get out that, like, hey, these American women, these Black American women, a lot of them are spoiled. I don't know how to put it, but a lot of them, they have a toxic mentality. They have a toxic way of looking at life that we don't want son, to marry into. This is what you're saying. So what?
I mean, it's. I'm sorry, sister. Go ahead.
No, you can go. And now.
No, I was gonna say it's some older Black women right now that tell their sons don't marry these young Black girls.
Well,
it's older Black women from the Black community, and that will tell their sons don't marry and don't bring home these hot thoughts that are running these streets right now. I don't want any of that in my house. They will tell you that. Matter of fact, I can't see you, just the way in which you carry yourself and your husband. You don't want if you had a son, I don't know, you don't want your son marrying some thought that you got to deal with, and you don't know if this is your grandchild or not.
Of course not.
And so
are you kidding?
there's a small percentage. Now that used to be the order of the day. That's not the order of the day now. See, now, because of the depravity, the ghetto, the as what do they say, as the Black redneck mentality that's taken over the Black community, that's prevalent. That's the dominant culture. Ghetto, fabulous, hood rat, that's seen as synonymous with Black culture. Prior to that, that wasn't it. We were classy, we were Black. It was, I'm Black, I'm proud. We were in a group of people. We went, even the way
I just have to give them props for that point right there. That is a fact. And any of you who are in your 40s with grandparents, you know very well that your grandparents stayed married, was death to them part, to them parts. Okay, you know that very well. Okay, very rare do you find people with grandparents in their 40s that their grandparents are divorced or anything like that. It's something that's weird, right? These young ones coming up, they grew up 2-3 generations in the Black community of broken families. You get it? And how did it happen? It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. Right? So let's keep watching this. Rabi, I see you in the background. Just keep holding, okay? Don't go anywhere.
Dressed. You didn't have men walk around with their pants and their butt, wearing oversized clothes and that sort of thing back in the 90s. Not because we were trying to please other people, but because we liked the way it made us feel. But there's been a breaking down of the community, and now in the middle class, and it all goes back to money. They don't have to settle for that anymore. There was a time where you had racial loyalty that forced you to settle. You had don't marry outside, keep it real, get you a sister. You had legal barriers, i.e. segregation, miscegenation laws that prevented you from marrying out. But it's wide open now. And so presented with the opportunity, and somebody said this, we had to deal with segregation, but now we have to learn with freedom. And what I see Black people doing is they're separating themselves, and they're, especially men, but you gotta, for the past 50 years, Black men, we don't like you, you're nothing, you're horrible fathers, and they didn't use that language. They put it out on television, they put it on daily shows like Sally Jesse Raphael, movies like Color Purple. You've told us in not so many words that we're nothing, we're nobodies, and you don't need a man. Particularly, generally, is known for saying, "I'm strong, independent, and don't need a man." It's not true. Pakistani, not the Chinese, is African American women right here in the United States. So what's happening? These young brothers, they took the hint. They got the message. See, I'm one of the last generation of Black men, Generation X, who said, "Let's keep it real. Get you a sister." And I did. I tried. And I realized then, with my money and my opportunities, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that sort of attitude. I'm not your shrink. I'm not going to deal with the neck rolling. I'm not going to deal with the attitude. And there are a lot of other men who have that same belief. So yeah, Passport Bros is going to grow, and those men are going to move those women right back in those houses in those neighborhoods, and they're going to go on with their families. And that in itself is going to be, that is going to be your response. Not you per se, you got a husband, but any woman who doesn't have a husband within the next 5 years.
Sister Rabia.
Alaikum.
Salaam Alaikum.
Alaikum.
Yeah, go ahead, sis. What you got?
Walaikum salam. I have no problem with anybody traveling outside of their geographical area to find a mate. That's not the only issue that I have with what he said is to bring them back here, to live amongst the people. Now, the problem with that is we see what immigrant communities go through when they come here and live amongst the people, and how their children turn out, and then eventually how they turn out. I think it's rather naive to think that if you're going to go across waters to get a mate, to come back here to live amongst the people, that attitudes won't change, or that for some reason the livelihood of the children will be an betterment for them, as opposed to where they are and the community that is feasible for the things that you have sought in a mate. Because what we see is on the contrary. When people come here, they get adapted to the communities here, and they try to live like the people here. I think that if you're going to go across waters to find yourself a mate, I think that you're better off, if you want to keep that in your lineage, if you want to keep those values in your lineage, to stay where you're at. So that's what I had to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you with that one. If you're going to find a wife overseas, me personally, I think it's just better just to stay where you are instead of coming here. But everybody's different, and people have been coming back with their foreign wives, particularly in the Black community, anyways, right? We see it all the time. In the Muslim community, brothers they go to Morocco, find a way for Egypt, or wherever, Kenya. They go to Yemen, Syria, bring back their wives over here. All right, so it's happening regardless, and they're moving right in the hood.
Communities, yeah, you see it
I
all
think his
happening all the
point is
time.
more.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think his point is more geared towards the effect of like the psyche of Black women. How it will affect them psychologically, right? Because this passport bros movement right now is definitely affecting a segment of the demographic within the Black community, particularly women, right, who have a lot of disdain for this type of thing. And meanwhile, this section of Black women, even though they hate this thing and they're calling Black men all kind of sellouts and all kind of stuff, they're really not taking themselves to account. So I think he's addressing those types of women more, right? Because I know a lot of black men who are pro-Black, and they love Black women, but they're married to foreigners. So many, right? So many Black men are like this, right? And it's because of the same type of things, the types of experiences that we have when we marry Black women is totally different to marrying a woman who has those type of values, those wife values and child rearing values, and it's a completely different cup of tea, right? So if you marry so many brothers, for example, when I went to Damaj, they married Yemeni women, right? And they all said that these women make amazing wives. All of them said it. They said they make amazing wives. These are wives. You know what I mean? They will cook, they will clean, they will, they're very cooperative, incredibly cooperative. They don't talk back, So I think he's reaching out to that demographic who have this, Black women should be strong, independent, and I don't need a man, and these type of things, right? That demographic of Black women is incredibly dangerous and hostile towards the Black community in general, right? So,
Right.
okay, so I was just gonna bring the brother here, but Jazakallah khair, Sister Rabi, let me bring another person on, okay?
Well, yeah.
Sorry, Okay, brother Abu Burra.
So, I'm one of those passport guys, passport bro myself.
Yeah. So go ahead, bro. What you got for us? Go ahead.
Your sister, what she said, there's a lot of truth to that because I'm going through that myself right now, right? But my children are still young. There's 2 or 3 outcomes to that situation. Now, for the brothers who have like these professional careers, professional brothers, when they bring the women back, they still have good outcomes, right? Because they live in good neighborhoods, their kids be able to go to good schools. If they're very religious from the Muslim community, they're going to Islamic schools. Now, that's a good scenario for brothers who are career oriented. They got the money. What becomes problematic for those brothers, because they have such a good relationship with the wife, they just start having a lot of children. So they look for cities where it's more family oriented, and their money could go to the best, right? They could use their money in more useful. So they look for more communities that's family oriented, right? Then you have brothers like myself. I might not be too rich. I see these type of brothers, they bring their women here. Sometimes they end up divorced. Their kids don't know nothing about Islam in some cases. Some of them have Black identity crisis, right? So we got those scenarios, especially those brothers who will get these women from these poor Muslim countries where the people there don't have money, and their education is a little bit low. When they get here,
Indonesia, Yemen, these type of places.
It's a done deal. Morocco, especially the Moroccans, because I have Moroccans. Forget it. I seen Moroccan kids locked up in prison. I seen brothers I know who got Moroccan wives, and that's different because if you financially well, them brothers is doing good. My friends who have wives from Morocco and they have decent jobs, they're doing good. If they're broke, it's problems. And that goes for if I'm married to another black woman, I'm broke, the same type of problem. But the passport, why are we doing it? The guy in the video hit the hammer on the nail with that. Because when I talk to my friends who have done it and are successful, or who are older than me who did it, where I learned, I seen it from, they were telling me go overseas. It's like, the Black sisters in the community it's crazy. And these brothers don't want that for themselves. They see they see what's going on with the black sisters in the divorce and can't they marry, and the brothers have to pay all this money out for child support, fighting and arguing, and they watching this. I still have friends in the black community. I'm missing one of this video. Brother may be in his 40s, still single. I know brothers still single because they're scared to get married to the sisters here. They're kind of scared about the foreigners because they don't want to get played for green card and all this stuff. But I know some brothers who are scared, you know, and they're scared of the sisters because they're manners here. They're scared of because they don't want somebody to take advantage of them, because what we have seen that. I have seen whole families married from Morocco. All of them get divorced. Before they divorced the woman got American status, and he bought the woman a house. They bought the women houses in their country. Once they get their papers, all that's gone. I seen this, you know. So this do happen. But why are brothers taking that risk? Because for a man, we know there's risk. The risk overseas outcome is better than the obvious risk that everybody's going through with the black woman here in America.
Well, this point right here, I actually agree with, because there are plenty more success stories, right, with seeking marriage overseas. Too many success stories, right, as opposed to, like, I'm just thinking right now, who do I know personally that's married to a black woman and that marriage lasted 15 years? That is in my age group or younger, right?
I don't know
anybody. I don't know anybody. I personally don't know anybody, right? I could be wrong, but like, I'm thinking just right now, and I don't know anybody in my age group or younger married 15 years or more to a black woman. I know plenty who are divorced with black women. I know plenty of black women been divorced. Plenty. Right? But in terms of the lasting marriages, right, I only know from the black brothers successful marriages with overseas women. And from black women, I only know, and you can't even call them like, these are more like the divestor types, right? You know what I mean? I only know two couples of, or maybe three couples for black women who are married to white men that are successful. But two of them, right, are married over 15 years, right? The other one is not, right? That's all I know. But in terms of black men marrying black women, a successful marriage, right? Who people my age, right? The only one I know that is successful in my experience is my own, all right? You know, 15 years or more, right? So I've been married to my wife for 27 years now, mashallah, right? So that's the only one I know of. You know, so what you're saying right there, even though there are some stories of, brothers getting taken for a ride, those brothers who get taken for a ride, they have a kind of, there's a pattern, there's like a kind of thing about them that, yeah, these brothers right here, these are the types that we're taking for a ride. You're talking about like hasty brothers, people are hasty, they don't really do their research, they don't invest, they don't look in the family. They're going into a relationship look very naively, right? So it's very easy to take advantage of these type of teasers, because they're looking for like the I married a foreigner experience, but they're not doing their due diligence, their homework, and then they get taken advantage. So there's a type of brother that is like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, what you're saying about the experiences with blind wolves is spot on. It is spot on. And sisters, of course, they're more of them are taking notes. See, Sister Asiata, alhamdulillah, she's saying, my husband and I have been married for 32 years, 7 children. We're out here, yeah. But Sister Aisada, are you my age or are you older? right? Because you said you're married for 32 years. I think you're older than me. You got to be in your 50s or something, inshallah. Right? That's what I'm thinking. You can hop on, sis, too, if you want to talk about your story. The link is in the chat. All right.
But I was the imam in South Carolina, in Myrtle Beach, right? Many years ago. African American community, right? Very small black African American. MashaAllah, since 51.
Yeah,
So
she's older than me. Yeah.
So when I was in Myrtle Beach, all the black brothers there, these country guys, all of them had wives from Morocco. All of them happy.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah. Yeah, and their marriage lasts long, right? Their marriages last long, right?
And all of them was married before to black women in community.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out, and they met some brothers in Morocco there. Took them to Morocco, hooked them up, and these brothers got kids with them. They have family. Some of them go through it, but their marriages is there, and the brothers are happy.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? So. And that's what Dennis Spurling is alluding to, because they came back, right? These brothers, they came back with their Moroccan wives. The sisters had a chance, right, to marry these same men, right? And there's a certain, how do I say it? It's a type of brainwashing that black women, they go through, right? This type of brainwashing that they go through. Black men, we have our own brainwashing too. We have the because of the black feminism. So black men, we get indoctrinated with a lot of effeminate traits, so many, like we're argumentative when we shouldn't be, like we always trying to, be like, you need these unaccountable type of traits, you know what I mean? Right. And black women, they suffer from that a lot, argumentative, entitled,
They compete too much with us. That's the problem. They compete with us.
They compete with they're not trying to work with their men or build their men or obey their men. They're trying to be in charge of their men, right? Yeah. They want to be in control of their men, right? And so all of if you look at our music too, like particularly R&B and soul and all this is a type of indoctrination too, because it's all simp music, all of it. It's all simp music. So we grew up listening to simp music for hours and hours and hours, and that becomes our psyche, instead of being, go-getters or taking care of our time or things of that nature, right? So, but anyway, the point is that black women now, they have this thing about them where if they blow up their relationships or if they nuke their relationships, it's to be celebrated. It's to be, they did good, and they have massive parties amongst themselves. You go, girl. Yeah, I kicked them to the curb and all that kind of stuff, right? For nuking their relationships, even with the fathers of their children. You know what I mean? And they're always the victims, never the victimizers. And now what's happening is that black men, the same black men that you said are nothing, ain't crap, are having successful relationships without you. You get it? And you have to watch that. You have to see that. Go ahead.
We have a big problem in this culture today. It's Thanksgiving here in the U.S., right? And I was watching NBC, right? NBC, it had a talk show. A black lady. She's married to a white guy. So she had some guests and all women, and they're praising. One of the women's praising being a single mother raising kids.
Yeah.
They bring them on to praise them.
I'll do you one better. What's your Tia Mowry?
The twins?
Yeah. She went on a talk show. You see how she destroyed her marriage of 14 years, right?
Yeah.
She just nuked it for no reason at all. Okay. And we should do a live on that as well, because that was just insane, right? But she goes on live television in front of these white women on one of these talk shows. And she said, I evolved from my marriage. Tika's saying she married for 20 years. 20 years. Can you imagine? Married for 20 years. And she's saying, I was a great experience. Marriage was a great experience. You know, my husband did nothing wrong, but I evolved for my marriage and for my happiness, and this and these white women, oh, you know, the audience, oh, wow, yeah, you did evolve from your marriage. These white women won't nuke their marriages.
That's right.
A white woman never in history ever said that she evolved from her 20-year-old marriage. Never in history. You know what I mean? But they applaud the destruction of a black family.
And her other sister married to a white guy, right? Her other sister?
Sister married to a white guy, yeah.
Well, their father is white. Their father is white, though. You know.
Yeah. But when you look at them, do you see white women or do you see black women?
I see black women. I don't see no white women. I look at them.
Of course. You know, and they've always, you know, their entire lives. Look at this show, Sister. That is a black show.
That's right.
You know, they're unmistakably black, right?
I knew some twins look just like them too growing up. Wow. Yeah, you know, but you know, this is you know, in a Muslim country, when a woman get divorced, that's like, whoa, it's like that's like the worst thing in the world.
But over here, they're celebrating it. And on top of that, they're being applauded and lauded and like they did something good. You know what I mean? And you got to understand that this Tia Mowry, right? She is like you know, somebody who's in the entertainment industry. So she's well off, you know, she's making money, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
You got me, right? If she divorce her husband, she's going to be well off, right? Her husband ain't going to get no alimony from her, right? Rather,
is he an actor too? Is he an actor too?
He's an actor too. He's an actor as well, right?
Was he like he was a childhood actor also, right?
I'm not sure if he was a childhood actor. I don't really know much about him. I just know, you know, T and Tamara because from Sister I used to watch that as a kid, right?
Yeah, we always watched.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but black women have been nuking their relationships for decades, just absolutely destroying them, you know? And we don't need black women running around talking about, I evolved from my marriage. That's the last thing we need, okay? That is absolutely the last thing we need.
Listen, I got a friend married to a Moroccan woman. She's in her maybe 50s. He told me when they go visit the mother in Morocco, you know what the mother's telling his wife? And his wife is in her 50s. She said, are you listening to your husband? That's what the mom telling the, and his wife is in her 50s. He said he was so shocked to hear that from his wife's mother. Said, make sure you listen to your husband. Do we think our women saying that to their daughters?
No, it's the opposite.
You hear me?
Don't let no man rule you. Wallahi, I've heard this with my own ears.
I hear this all the time.
Black women telling their daughters, don't let no man rule you. Like, you know, I heard it with my own ears.
Yep. That's what they say, unfortunately. Yeah. And that bad advice for us blacks in America, it's you know, we already have the white supremacy weighing down on us, have all the traps on us, and that small mistake or divorce in marriage, how much it can impact the next generation for the children that you have, how it's going to impact them mentally and physically and financially.
Yeah.
And women are like praising people like this and this type of behavior, and it is going to be the continuation of the destruction for the next generation.
Of course. Which is why you see black men, they're opting out. It has nothing to do with not loving black women. Rather, it's the opposite, because you find the general rule is black men marry black women. That's the general rule, and then they end up like Tia Mowry without all the whatchamacallit, the empathy, right, or the niceness. Tia Mowry nuked her marriage, and she said good things about her ex-husband, right? These women won't.
And she's not a bad looking woman. I know, people put stoners on TV, but she's not a bad looking woman. I wouldn't expect her to have bad manners, because her father's white. I gonna be lying. Huh?
Who's gonna follow up in a relationship with her? She don't know what she did. She sent a very clear message to any man that even thinks about
Nah, I know it. So I was listening to somebody on the media, somewhere on Facebook or YouTube, a YouTuber was saying she's probably going to marry somebody Caucasian, like her sister.
No, she not marrying anybody, man. No, who's gonna marry her? 44
Some white
years.
guy.
44
Somebody
years,
white. Some white guy.
Everybody knows what she did to her marriage. Who's coming behind that, man?
Some white guy, man. Yeah, some white guy who fantasized about her when he was a teenager, watching her on TV. Like this. Some white guy go for her.
No way.
Yeah, man. Some white guy go get her, man. Trust me.
She played herself, man. But we'll see how far this evolution goes, man. She's gonna be like the what's that? What's Kanye West ex-girlfriend? The
Kardashian, you mean?
Not Kardashian, not her.
That white girl?
No, so she's not a white girl. She's like a half-breed model. I can't even remember her name.
I think I've seen her before. I think
she's an atheist, man. She's like real dusty. She's like she's dusty, she back in the day she was real pretty, but she's just dusty, man. She's like ghetto, I can't remember her name, but she gonna be like that, man. She's gonna be like she gotta find some dude that she can rule. She's gonna end up like what's her Lizzo, finding some dude that she can rule. You know what I mean? That's
but
it.
But back to that video you was playing, what the gentleman was talking about, when they bring the family back, and how that's going to affect the black women. That's kind of deep right there, because I think that some black women, they're going to have some type of envy maybe or hatred, because they're going to see this guy happy with these children and this woman, and she's probably going to want that for herself.
Well, it's already happening. And to be honest, what's happening right now with the rise of the internet is it's kind of like fueling this type of gender war between men and women and black men and black women and whatnot. However, there's a a rational element to it, and Dennis Spurling, he's a part of that rational element. You know what I mean? I've considered Dennis Sterling a part of the rational element. I consider what's that guy's name, man? Our man. The guy I keep saying black women should listen to. How am I forgetting his name?
Kevin Samuels.
Kevin Samuels. He's a part of the rational element, right? These men are like essentially telling black women what they need to hear if they want to improve, and anybody who wants to listen to it, that wants to benefit from it, they're open, to listen. And anybody else, you're going to see them in the same situation when they're in their 50s. All of them end up the same. They end up single, alone, with their cats and their kids, who are also single, alone, right? Their kids got baby daddies. They're the baby mamas. They're the grandma baby mamas. And their grandchildren are going to end up baby mamas too, right? So that's why I keep saying, let these heifers go extinct. Let them go extinct, And any man that puts himself in a position to wife these types of women, we have to put them on blast and exile them from our communities, like straight up.
Man, you know how much heat I get? Did I mention that stuff? You see, like I post yesterday on Facebook that if black men are tired of some of the some keyword sisters. I know y'all be listening to some of y'all, especially your sister right now. Probably mad with me. But if you don't like some of the black sisters, you got other options like in Indonesia and all these other countries. You know, I've been to Indonesia. They love black men. You hear me? Southeast Asia, they love black men. They even contact me on Facebook sometimes. They said they want to marry somebody black. So,
well, here's the thing. Like black men are, in general, they're kind of desirable because black men they run the culture, right? However, right like I said, there's a rational element, right, to this whole thing, like Kevin Samuels and Dennis Spurling, and then there's another element, like a more, like you say, dusty element, like there's a uprising of the black incel. You know, it's kind of like pathetic, to be honest, right? Where you see these black men who don't have women anyways. They don't have women, and no woman wants them. But they feel like they are spokespeople for Kevin Samuels, right? These men also need to be ignored, and they need to go extinct as well. Like these particular men, they bring no value to the wider black community, and their riffing on black women is actually it's something that people do when they're weak. You know what I mean? Like if you're weak and you don't have any control of your circumstances, you get me?
Got you perfectly.
Yeah, you know, and that's the irrational element, right? So we don't want to, like, those men, the only thing that they can be doing is building themselves up or remaining silent. All this work that they have on social media against black women, right? It shows, like, if you ask them, are you married? They're all going to say no. Do you have a woman at all, whether black or otherwise? They're going to say no. All of them are going to say no, right? But they have all this time, you know, to put an effort to put in on, you know, and the reason bashing black women, the reason why they do that is because they don't have a woman and they can't get one. You get it? You get it? Right? So they also have to go extinct. We need to get rid of the Pookies and Ray-Rays, right? We need to get rid of we're seeing the rise of the black incel, right? We need to get rid of them too. And we need to be productive, you know, men, especially black men, especially have to be productive, right? We have to up our game a hell of a lot, right? We have to, you know, if you were to ask the general Muslim, right, for example, right, which came first, the prophet or the messenger? What are they going to say?
Prophet.
The prophet, say something, right? And with the prophet, say something, which came first? His manners or his akida? Which came first?
His manners. For sure.
His manners, right? Everything has an order. We have to be building our manners. You get it? We have to build our manners, right? Before we start ripping on people on, you know, dogma and stuff. And we have to build our character before we start building buildings and stuff like this. You know, everything has an order. You get it? So if you want to get any man, really, most men in general are capable to get married, right? It's just a very small portion of men who are not capable to get married. And the reason why they're not, even, I don't care what you look like, how much you weigh, you have the ability to get married if you're a man, right? You have the ability. All you have to do is work on yourself, right? Women are not like that. Women are not like that. So if you are a man and you are not married and your whole goal in life is to rip on black women, that says more about you than black women, to be honest.
Right? Deficiency. This is a deficiency in that person's character.
Exactly. Right?
Exactly. We know some people like that.
No, of course. I don't even waste my time on them, bro. It's like a big waste of time to deal with them, to be honest. Like I waste zero time on them. Let them say what they want to say, right? And, you know, because we have so much work to do in the black community, right? That these distractions, if anybody goes and kind of chases these distractions, they're not helping anybody. You get me? You know what I mean? Like you're not really about anything. We got way too much work to be worried about your, like we're not your counselor. Sorry to say like that. You know what I mean? I'm not your therapist, right? Rip on Black women all you want, but Black women have some very serious issues that need to be dealt with in a serious manner. If your goal now is to hurt somebody's feelings, then you're not about much, are you? Right? You know what I mean? What we're doing here is trying to help our people, and these guys are just trying to help their egos. You get me? Right?
But sooner or later we have to sit down and find a way to help some of these women or reach them, these sisters. I think really it'd be best for women to reach them, women who are doing good.
Well, I think what we're doing here is a good start because a lot of sisters, especially who watch this channel, they change their views, right? They open, and even their attitudes have changed from watching this because we're not coming at them we're coming at them in a brotherly manner, right?
Right, because we don't have no hatred for them. We want good for them. I mean,
we want good for them. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but for the women that don't want to be saved, let them heifers go extinct. Just let them die out. You know what I mean? You can't save everybody.
But a lot of these sisters who claim they want to change, they befriending these type of women. And they don't know that these type of women be influenced their thinking and their behavior also.
Mm-hmm.
I seen that a lot. I remember when I was an imam in this masjid, there was some brothers from Yemen. Yemeni men are very protective over their women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to a group of older Yemeni men, businessmen who got women and children, female daughters, and all of this. And I was talking to one older than me. He used to give me advice for my wife, right? She's out of it. She was out of right. And one day he was saying to me and her, he's like, he's saying to me that the women you bring around your women is very important.
Yes, that's a fact.
He told me that. He told me that's one of his success in his marriage. And this is like an older brother. Him and his wife been married since they was kids, actually. Because Yemeni, they get married when they little kids. So he was telling me that he watched who he bring around his women in his house because that woman can make that guest woman or whatever, female friend of the wife, can make your life a living hell and bad for the wife. Because she would end up divorced because she befriended somebody, another female who got bad manners or had bad behavior, and it rolls off and it affects the wife. So he says you got to be very careful who you bring around your women. That
is a fact. That is a fact. And how many relationships do we know of that ended because your wife talked to the wrong woman?
Many,
even in our culture, we know this happens. It's something that's normal, right? Which is another reason why I don't believe, like my personal opinion is that if you're going to get married overseas, it's just to stay overseas, right? Because you get married overseas, bring these women around these Black women, bro, and
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
I see it happen to the Africans all the time here. Brothers from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the brothers from Africa, man. Just come covered up and stuff. They get around the wrong women here, and their women are very easy to be influenced too. Also, unfortunately, I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Brother Salim, he says there's a nasty subculture in the Black community that says that you're not allowed to correct a woman. How do you save that, Ikhwan? Yeah, I left the link in the chat. Anybody can hop in and join us, inshallah. Right, I think this is an important discussion that we're having right now, right? And that's this is a very important point that Brother Salim Rashid he brought up. It's an incredibly important because we know what he's talking about, right? We all know what he's talking about, right? And as a matter of fact, Black women have been devoid of a microscope on them for the better part of 40 years. You know what I mean? And the first person, actually, there's two people that came out directly against Black women. Both of them are Black women, right? The first one we all know, Sister Shahrazad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one we know is Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, right? And both of them of course, Sister Shahrazad Ali, her whole claim to fame was to put a microscope on Black women, right?
Mm-hmm. She's very good.
Yeah,
Very
right?
good,
So
man.
she,
Very good, actually. Very
so
good.
her is in Morocco, 3 a.m. there, right? Yeah, Dr. Frances Cress. Actually, I have her book, and she has some incredible points in this book. Actually, let me try to find one, right, concerning, making them black male, homosexual, and this kind of stuff, right? And
she's a psychologist, correct?
she's a psychologist, like she's a proper doctor,
She's a doctor,
right? And hold on a second, like there's so many like points she brings up, right? 1 second, yeah. Let me try to find something here. One second. All right, so this is what Dr. Frances Quest Welsing says about the homosexualization of the Black man. Okay. Right. So this is what she says. Okay. She says Black male homosexuality and bisexuality are only the long run byproducts of males submitting in fear to other males in the social arena. They fail to resist because death is the result of resistance. The large number of Black male homosexuals and bisexuals who report that they have a little or no respect for their fathers. Okay, this is the point. That's why I brought this up. Little or no respect for their fathers might have been completely different life histories had they grown up with the knowledge that their fathers died while in defense of their manhood when it was attacked and challenged by the oppressor. This is especially true if their mothers also admired and respected their father's manhood. Okay, this is the point I wanted to bring up. Right? There's a link between the homosexual and bisexual male and the lack of respect that they have for their fathers, right? And they may have respected their fathers if their mothers did what?
Respected the fathers.
That's the whole point. We don't have this in the Black community. We don't have mothers respecting the fathers in the Black community. As a matter of fact, you can go to any Black relationship, right? And you can ask the kids, name one good thing your mother said about your father, name one bad thing your father said about your mother, and both of them would have blank stares in their faces because, the mother doesn't say anything good about the father, and the father doesn't say anything bad about the mother. Right? That's what the book here, The ISIS Papers, by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing.
I've read that many years ago. It was a good book.
Right? So I just want to put that out there, right? She's linking now the disrespect that Black women have for their fathers and homosexuality and bisexuality. You get it?
Sure, I remember my mother gave me that book. I'm just thinking now.
Brother, Voice of Islam J.A. Okay, I'm going to leave the link up for a few more minutes. Anybody can join us, right? Otherwise, we're going to call it a night. But go ahead, bro. Keep talking now.
I was watching a group of I was listening to some psychologists just talking, psychologists, yeah. All right, and they was talking about how certain type of behaviors in the household affect children, for example, right? And I was listening to this and reading this stuff, right? Actually, I'm studying this stuff, right? Psychology, Islamic psychology, right? And I was reading some of what was considered to be behavior that causes some issues for children. And I was reading through all the list of the stuff, and the problem, I was like, everything I read that was negative in the books of psychology that cause children to have certain behavior that affect them when they become adults, I'm like, I know every Black family have all these issues. all this behavior and the wrong type of parenting skills or the type of negative behavior that cause children to have bad behaviors when they're done, like all black families in the black culture in America, all of them have all these things.
Yeah, yeah. And there has to be a shift in the culture, of course. And when you look at your culture, is basically determined by, you know, your clothing, your language, your music, and the type of food that you eat. These type of things determine your culture, right? Look at the clothing of the black people, right? Look at the music of black people. Okay. Look at the television or the media that the black people consume, right? The clothing, the music, the consumption of media, whatever black meat, whatever, all of it is destructive. All of it is, yeah.
Even the Cosby Show, even the classical Cosby Show, there's something wrong with that. I listened to a therapist saying that even the Cosby Show, which is a classical good black show, he said it's problematic. He says because Bill Cosby, he works in his house and his wife is the businesswoman. She go out to work, he stay home and work inside the house and with the kids. He said he switched
that might be one angle, right? That might be one angle, but the show itself was definitely there's nothing like it since those days.
Since then. Yeah, that was it.
It showed a stable nuclear black family, right? It showed basically a black doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but anyways, Jazakallah khair, Abu Burra. We got another guest here. Thank you
Inshallah.
so much.
Barakallahu feekum.
He kept us going for a while. Thank you so much. Hayakallah, Sheikh.
I mean, why? Yeah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Deen over dunya. What you got for us, bro?
Naam, alhamdulillah. I think this is a very really enlightening conversation that we're having.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started working, I was working in the inner city, and one of the kids, they saw me and they're like, "Hey, you a scientist and whatever." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm a scientist." And I'm not sure if it was his grandmother or his mother that was there, and she said, "You too dumb to be a scientist." Right? What are you asking him that? Right? Little black boy. So I looked at him and I'm like, "No, you're not. No, you're not." And she said, "You just like his daddy." And I was like, "Hold on. No, you're not. No, you're not. You can be a scientist." And so I think it's very important for us to understand the degree of trauma and the long-standing effect that it has. As the brother was explaining, and as you were explaining from the book as well, it has so much effect later on in life, right? And so I think it's important that we figure out how to curtail it, and we have to start going to the root of it, just as you said. And if what they grow up hearing, especially young black boys, their image, or at least my image, is shaped in terms of what I'm thinking about my father, right? And how I see my father and stuff. And I'm constantly, I look in the mirror and I see this individual as my father, but I'm being projected to know that he is a this and a that and a this and a that. I first have to overcome that mental, I have to overcome that before I can even achieve anything, right? So my own self-worth takes such a beating when I'm growing up. And so I think it's just so important for us to not overlook some of these really key factors, inshallah.
Yeah, there's a book. It's called what is it called again? Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay. And one of the things that was mentioned in this book, right? And there's a lecture actually online. It's called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And one of the things that is mentioned in this book is that during the slave times, right, of course, the slaves, they had no rights over their bodies, their times, or anything like that. And it was normal and regular practice for the slave masters to basically rip the children away from their mothers and sell their children for profits, even if they're young as young as 5 and 6, and you know what I mean. They would sell these young, and of course, it was very traumatic for the mothers, right? So the slave mother during this time they developed this practice, and you know what the practice was?
No.
They developed this practice. Oh, you don't want him. He's a fool. He's stupid. He doesn't know much. He's you know. They developed.
Okay.
Yeah, they developed this practice of humiliating.
So as almost as a protection.
Yes. Yes. Right.
And then that now is translated to now as a punishment.
Yes. And of course, if you get used to saying this over, you can imagine using these type of tactics for centuries, right? And what it does to the psyche of entire people. You can change the you're a doctor, you know better than me, right? You know, you can actually change the psychology on a genetic level through passed down trauma.
Yeah, it's
right.
It's really sad. It really is sad.
Right.
And,
so
you know, and when you experience it, it's you know, when you see the children that are the result of it and stuff like that, it just really is a heartbreaking experience, unfortunately.
Yeah. So now what we have, like I can't remember if I was watching or reading I can't remember. No, there's a book. It's called How to Win and Influence Friends by what's his name? Let me see if I can see it here. Can I see it from here? Oh man, Dale Carnegie, right? Right, and he talks about the importance in this book of self-talk, right? But when you're talking to yourself, you're gonna talk in positive, you know, whatchamacallit. What do you call those things?
Affirmations.
Like affirmations, right?
Yeah.
And affirmations are so important, right? You have to, you know, affirm your, you know, like be positive and positive affirmations and whatnot. This is so important in building yourself, right? And if you look at, you know, for example, white families, you never hear, you know, like the elite white families telling their children that they're stupid. That's not a thing. They tell them that they're gods and stuff, you know, you can rule the world and this and this and that, you know, don't like a god doesn't sit like that. A god sits up straight, you know, a ruler, you know, eats like this and wears a suit, and they train them like that. You get it? In the black community, we get told how our men ain't crap, our boys ain't crap. He just like his father. It's all negativity.
Yeah.
You get it? Right? So, and we definitely have to change that culture. But even in Islam, it's not permissible to speak bad about another person.
Yeah.
That's La Yajuz, right? It's not permissible to say something about somebody that they won't like, you know? But we are so used to dogging each other, like absolutely dogging each other. And for me, you know, I personally don't do that. The people that I dog on this channel are people that have problems with black people. That's it. Once you've shown that you have an issue with black people, I will come after you. Right? But even some black looking people in the Muslim community that have issues with black people, I still haven't publicly, you know, trashed them, because we're so used to that culture, you know, of trashing each other, that if everybody does it, it's never going to stop. Right? So, yeah, go ahead.
That's a good point, and I you know, I think that that's just the I think once you experience the other side, you know, once you see persons who don't do that with their kids and so on. And then you see later the effect of it. I think it's so important that we start dealing with these matters in our communities, and we start discussing it, and we start looking into it in a serious sense, right? So I think these kind of having it, as you said, the grassroots and just us kind of talking to each other is so important. Perchance there is, I'll never forget when I was in New York, there was a young black brother. He just accepted Islam. His wife or his girlfriend didn't accept Islam. So he would bring his kids to the masjid, and he's trying so hard to let the son, act right at the masjid, right? So he'd be like, pressuring him and like, and I'm looking at him like, bro, it's not done this way. I mean, you're a revert and so on. So, but then when you hear his own story and he tells you how he kind of grew up and he sees this as this is the way to be, and he's just trying to be a father, right? And so there are just so many factors and facets to it. And so I think that we never know who's going to be listening in that may be able to express this to others, to just be like, hey, listen, we're going to have to deal with these wounds that are deep, but we have to start dealing with them, and we have to start facing them. And so inshallah, I just appreciate you allowing me to come up and just kind of discuss this. Alhamdulillah.
All right. All right, brothers and sisters, for me tonight. I apologize again for the technical difficulties, but we got through it. Tomorrow night, we're going to go in depth about the Passport Bros and its connection to the Muslim community and why it's happening amongst Muslim men, inshallah. So join us tomorrow for that one. That one's going to be fire, as usual. All right. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Subhanakallah, bihamdik, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.